Welcome to tonight's episode of Crypto City. Thank you for joining us on your Monday night, and happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone. Hope, if you do partake in some festivities, teleport to worlds safely. Tonight we have some very special world builders on that some of us who've been in the metaverse for quite a while will definitely recognize. We're going to talk to them in just a few minutes, but I want to just touch on a few different things. There's a lot going on right now in the government with crypto, and it's ever evolving, and we know this, and it's been changing on the regular, but it seems like right now there's a little bit of a push in different directions, which is causing a lot of businesses and corporate organizations that has never happened before. So I don't know what happened, but I'm back. Apologies. I've never black boxed on my own show, so I guess now I get to be like the guests. But we were talking about crypto and how things are progressing right now with the government and how it's rolling out into businesses. And, in a move that has been really big with consumer finance, Visa and MasterCard have rolled out platforms that give AI agents direct access to your credit cards. Visa's Intelligence Commerce and MasterCard's Agent Pay allow AI systems to autonomously make purchases using tokenized credentials, bypassing human involvement. And these AI-driven platforms leverage partnerships with tech giants like OpenAI and Anthropic, but it enables AI to not only recommend, but to complete transactions based on consumer preferences. There's definitely mixed reactions about this and mixed feelings. Some people are embracing this, and a lot of people are running a little bit scared with it. This shift from e-commerce to AI commerce marks a huge fundamental change where machines not only assist, but actually drive the entire purchase process. And this move positions payment giants to dominate the emerging AI commerce landscape, secures transaction fees before AI's full capabilities are realized. So this is a huge thing happening right now. So pay attention to your credit cards, pay attention to your bank statements, pay attention to what's going on. It's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just you need to be cautious and you need to be aware. The more we know, the safer we are. We just had our training last week on cybersecurity, and now this stuff is happening fast and furious. And, I'm not saying it's not secure. I'm saying make sure you pay attention to what you're doing. So meanwhile, Bitcoin has emerged as an economic safe haven amid the contracting U.S. economy, which shrank by 0.3% in the first quarter due to the tariff pressures. Despite the market downturns, Bitcoin gained nearly 15% in April, showing resilience and appealing as a hedge against economic instability. This shift is highlighted by a surge in cryptocurrency revenue on platforms like Robinhood, reflecting investor confidence in Bitcoin's ability. There's a lot of things that are shifting right now. There's actually some investment firms that are going to allow Bitcoin trading, which that has not been possible up until just now. This has been something that has been frowned upon, and now it's actually being embraced. So, this is in contrast. Ethereum is facing growing competition from more efficient blockchains, but its upcoming Pectra upgrade might reverse this stagnating growth and potentially recoupling its performance with the broader market. So pay attention. I told you I have ETFs. I have a Bitcoin ETF. I was checking it today. It's been growing and growing. So, there's a lot of things changing right now with cryptocurrency. And I know we don't talk about it every week in here because, we're not here to give you advice on trading. I can connect you with people that do, but right now, I think you should just be paying attention to Bitcoin in general and how it's being used as currency, how AI is interfacing with some of this, how PayPal and some of the major, payment agencies are not only allowing you to use it as a payment method, but also they're, actually embracing having you buy crypto on their platforms. They've been doing that for a while, but now I feel like there's a much bigger push with government support. So I just wanted to mention those things to you. In addition to that, I would like to, mention that we have 2 episodes till the end of the season. Next week, we're going to have Major on, and then the following week will be our season finale. Season finale, we do a nice recap of everything that's happened throughout the season. During our downtime through the summer, we will be having a hosted tech event here out in the courtyard. If any of you are interested in being part of that, please hit me up. Either grab me in the metaverse, hit me on IG, or send a message to us on Facebook or Instagram through Crypto City, and we'll talk about what you can contribute and how you can be part of the event. This is something that's going to be open to the community, no charge, something that we really want to just keep everybody, together during the off season, but also to offer out some community advice, some information, any new technology that's coming up. We'll try to share all of that with you. Probably late June, might be early July, but right now I'm thinking it'll probably be the last week in June before the July 4th holiday. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the stage tonight's guests. So please welcome ShuShu and Niko. Please join us. Welcome.
Hello.
Go ahead and grab a seat.
Hello.
Welcome. Please grab a seat. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So to me, it's super exciting to have you here because I remember you from when we were in the alt space days several years ago, and your worlds were always like completely mind blowing. And when we came over, alt space closed, we were in spatial for a little bit, and then we came over here, and I was searching one day and I stumbled across one of your worlds that we're going to talk about. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I used to go for peace, was your worlds. If I just needed to unwind and relax. And I'm super excited that you're still building and bringing them over here in further places. So I'm going to let you introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about who you are and how you came into the metaverse way back when. So go ahead, ShuShu.
So thank you very much for your invitation. It's great being here with you. Hello, everyone. Hello. Yeah, so it was Altspace. It was Altspace where we met and where we started to immerse ourselves in virtual reality. I think Niko was a bit earlier than me in Altspace VR, and maybe Niko, you can start with your experience there.
Yeah, Niko. I also started in Altspace. I think I was in Altspace since 2016 or something. So in the really early days, when also the same time as VR chat just started. And it wasn't even Microsoft. So it was in the times where before Microsoft actually bought it. And the first time, before the first time it got bankrupt, and then it got bought by Microsoft. And so I was there really early, but I really started world building a bit later. So that was more like in the Microsoft times. I did a bit like with WebGL and stuff, but like working with Unity and world building was more like in 2020, like in the time of COVID.
Okay. So now you're in the metaverse, and how did you guys actually connect and meet up? Were you just both building separately and ran across each other, or was there something that, drew you guys together in some sort of event or anything like that?
That was like, we did it separately in the beginning, like in 2020. And when did we connect? It must have been like 2021. I know who connected us. Maybe you can talk about it.
Yeah, so I don't have any background that is related to gaming, game programming, 3D modeling, anything like that. I come from the theater, from the stage. I'm a theater director. I graduated the National Academy of Theater in Krakow in Poland, and I was educated to create really deep emotional theater, not the usual theater that we might think of like musicals or something that is more about entertainment, but some kind of a sacral spiritual experience that you come into the theater and when you go out, you're a completely different person because you understood something about your life. So that is my background. And is the work on the stage, on the wooden floor with actors sweating and, creating all this drama. And the challenge was when I saw for the first time virtual reality and was Allspace VR. And I understood that we have the tools to create worlds. Back then, we didn't need Blender, we didn't need Unity. I mean,
different technology.
Who wanted to experiment, they had like word editor, so you can actually grab some elements and put them in the world. And I found myself in a situation, okay, you have an empty space, and what can you do with it for your passion? Like my passion was theater. And the biggest challenge that I found is it possible to create the metaphysical, theatrical experience in the digital world, in this digital technology? And so like the first thing that I personally wanted to do is a play that I was working on, and it was Nymphs, and started to work on it on one scene, and then invited people. And one of the person who came to see it, it touched her. Her name was Marsha, and it connected us. And then she said, "What do you need to accomplish this thing?" And I said, "I need another artist. I need to collaborate with somebody who is sensitive, who is unique, who is experienced with shaders, with materials." And she said, "I have an idea. You have to meet Niko." And she brought Niko the day after or 2 days after to Nymphs, to the theater. And that was the first time when we connected, actually. And from that time, we started collaborating on this specific scene. And it took 2 or 3 months, and it got us the Rain Dance Film Award. And then later the Cannes Film Festival Award. It's a very prestigious one. Like in Europe, it's like the Oscar,
Yeah, we know what that is here too. That because it's actually like a big thing for the world. That's amazing.
Yes,
congratulations. That's really cool. So, I mean, we're going to look at a little bit of the worlds that you built, but before we do, so you're coming from a very creative background, the theater mindset when you're creating these worlds, and the emotion that comes from that. Like I said, I would go to your worlds when I needed to relax, because there is such a dynamic in your worlds where not only are you fully immersed, but if any of you have been there, you know what I'm talking about. You're not just immersed like we are here. You are completely immersed in something that feels like you're engulfed. It's just so different. And I've been to Nymphs. It was amazing. So when you're putting these worlds together, in addition to just making beauty, what is your thought process for the client experience, the customer experience, the visitor? What is your thought process for that? What's your philosophy?
So it's different in every project we do. There are projects that we do together, and there is a goal behind each project. And there are projects that we do separately, like Niko's exoplanet, for example. And I believe Niko, he's his biggest project. I'm really proud of him. I mean, he got more than 7 million visits here in Altspace. Imagine, guys, we arrived here as refugees of Altspace VR with no home, completely alone, lost in the metaverse. And Niko now is the most famous person in VR chat. And even if you go to the home space in VR chat, the first portal you see is the exoplanet. So actually, VR chat manager noticed that and gave him this portal there. It's just, I was so proud of him. So there is a goal for Niko can explain about his goals. Yeah. Maybe you start, Niko.
So my background is not like a classic background like ShuShu, like coming from theater or something. Have more like a technical background, but also design background. I'm kind of a hybrid of design and coding. And when doing shaders, it's kind of beneficial to know both sides, like design, having a feeling for design, and also knowing the technical side of it, especially in Unity and in shader development. You really need that. And I mean, for me, it's always a really dynamic process. I have an idea, like a really rough idea what I want to do. For example, Exoplanet Journey, I had a world in Altspace, and I think it was the trailer for Dune or something, where they were flying like over a landscape, like a desert landscape. And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. Let's try that. So I wanted to do this landscape shader, and I was just starting to do shaders, and I had this flying over a planet surface. It wasn't a desert. I wanted to start with a desert. It didn't came out as a desert, but I adapted, and I kind of liked it how it looked like. And then I had problems. Like I had like problems the horizon, like everything, like all these different layers. And over time, I just added more and more elements and changed it again and again and again. So it's always a dynamic process. And it was flying over planet Proxima B was the world in Altspace. It was like a smaller world. My biggest world in Altspace was the solar system, which is still here in VR chat, but not as popular as Exoplanet Journey. And when I had this world flying over planet Proxima B, and like it was, like I said, smaller, but then Altspace shut down, and so I wanted to bring my worlds here. Yeah, and like the first one I put here like was a solar system, of course. That was pretty easy. And then I wanted to say, okay, let's do flying over planet Proxima B next. And I brought it into VR chat. And I thought, yeah, this is boring. Like this is kind of like, I want to make more out of it. And I found out, okay, yeah, you can do more scripting here. You can change all these different scenes. And it developed. And I made this panel and having this hyperspace shader, which I already had, and like these different planet surfaces. So it's more like a dynamic approach here in VR chat. And Altspace, it was more static. So you have to, like in every platform, you have to think differently. Like not only in VR chat and Altspace, also like we talk about Vivus later and Horizon maybe. So like all platforms are unique, and you kind of have to like get a feeling what it can do good and what it can't do really well. And VR chat is pretty good at like scripting stuff, and then like Unity, and you have lots of freedom here. And
sure.
You kind of see like how people use the space, and it was always like when I'm doing an update for Exoplanet Journeys, so I'm always looking how people use it, right? And I'm always adapting it. It's always changing, always updating it. Like every few weeks, there's a new update and there's new content, and there are like just bug fixes and new features. So people use it in new ways, and it's always a dynamic approach.
Keeps it fresh too. So let's actually talk about one of your world builds here. I'm going to bring up a little video. I borrowed your YouTube video for Elysium, which is the world I was talking about that I will go to relax, because I just loved it so much. So I'm going to try and play this. We'll see if this works. I have not done a video in the middle of one of these slides before, because Blue is usually doing the slides, and everyone, shout out to Blue. She's on her European vacation. She's never allowed to take vacation again though, because this has been too many weeks and I need her back. So I'm doing the slides at the same time. Let's see what happens here. This should give you a visual of this incredible world. I mean, the graphics are just mind-blowing. When you're in there, you're just so sucked into the beauty. It's gorgeous.
Elysium is was created for tantric meditation events, for connecting people in VR through erotic workshops. somatic experience about connecting to your body and overcoming your fears and your obstacles, learning how to be open and to love yourself and to accept the other. And it's wonderful events that are regularly run by Venus SX.
Yes.
She also has a group in VR chat, and it was created actually for this. And the goal of this, the idea was to create a space that makes you feel safe and good, surrounded by beauty. And I think mainly it's the colors, the blue and the red, which are related. There's a whole philosophy of colors around it. It's mentioned in a famous book by painter Kandinsky. It's called On the Spirituality of Art. And it's analyzing the colors, how they actually affect our emotions. Just like in music, when you have a beat, for example, 140, 160 or 60, and it affects your heart and you want to dance. So in colors, there are a specific type of blue and red that are more related to the spiritual side and to the earthy, like the body, sensual side. So it's the red and the blue. And Elysium is actually based on that. In terms of 3D modeling, it's almost completely empty. There's just a few frames. There's not so much sophisticated modeling, but it's mainly the skybox, that the graphic and the shader and the water and the reflection and the music, everything like brings everything together to one atmosphere. But it's not an emotional experience in terms of, it doesn't have a narrative, but it does have the dominative space energy around you that you feel that it affects all your senses.
And you do feel that when you're in there, you just become one with the world for the time that you're giving yourself over to it. And I have been to a few of Venus's events, and it's definitely a safe space. Is a great way of putting it.
There's another version. There's another version of this world, which is private, but it's actually two worlds in one. So there's a transition that you can make a transition from Elysium to Violet, which is a nightclub.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice. I haven't seen that one. That's interesting. This other world that I wanted to show, a lot of people who are in here are very familiar with Trip. And, with keeping that meditative mindset, most of the worlds that I've been to that you have worked on have all brought you into your spirit, into your soul, into that peace area. And this particular one, I actually just took a little excerpt from it, not the whole video, but kind of shows people getting together for, an actual meditation class. And, I thought this was really cool too. And just I took the audio out of this one because somebody was talking. So, but I just really, I thought it was really cool that this one was actually focused on, earth and making yourself one with the earth. And I thought that was really cool. And, I think it's kind of funny. I mean, obviously all of you can see that we have Niko sitting here. He's alien. And a lot of the worlds that we go to are feeling that that universal galaxy feel, whether it's an actual planet or just that sort of outer space feel. It's actually quite grounding, which it seems funny, but it really is.
The overview effect actually is an example of animation, of 3D animation, some kind of basic narrative with voiceover. It was one of the most important projects because of the fact that we were collaborating with space philosopher Frank White, which is a very, very experienced and smart, clever guy that wrote a few books, I believe 7 books. One of them is the overview effect experience. He actually invented this term, the overview effect experience, and the meaning is what the astronauts that arrived for the first time in the International Space Station, but the first time they look at Earth from that perspective, they experience something that changes everything, all their perception about our life, about our planet. And he made actually lots of interviews with many astronauts, and based on that, he wrote a book about this phenomenon. And his voiceover, his real voice is there, and actually delivering a message about how we can unite as human beings, and instead of taking from this earth, but also start to think, how can we give, because otherwise we won't survive. And the idea was the trip applied to us was this basic idea to create some kind of animation for the overview effect. And this is like referring to your previous question, how do we do a project? What is the goal of the project? So once we got this, the first thing we have to do is to study, to learn, to watch videos, to read what is actually the overview effect. Because if you want to present it to the world, you have to master this theme. You have to know what you're talking about. And the idea basically was to show the planet Earth rotating with some music. But then we find out actually that it was written by Frank White, and we watched interviews with him, and then it chose actually fragments of interview to compose some kind of a text, and told them that we want to do it with the voiceover. That was not the basic idea in the beginning. And everybody was a bit skeptic about it because they thought it would be too much. But we did contact him, and he agreed to record himself. And once we put everything together, it got a completely different meaning. And the first event, like the opening event, when we presented it, he came by himself and he was there. Now you have to understand, this is a very, very unique, precious man. And that's why the overview effect, in its VR version, it's going to be a very valuable project in a few years. You know, when it will become like, I don't know, national heritage or something like that, because that's the only documentation of him in VR.
Interesting. Wow.
Yes.
So a lot of thought process goes into this, and a lot of attention to detail to make sure that the worlds are actually capturing and delivering exactly what you're stating.
Yes, and Frank White now has a whole movement that is called organization. It's a foundation that is called Human Space Program. And they actually start now to make some programs for educational programs for kids and so on. And it's just beautiful to see how it develops.
I love that. That's very thoughtful and very considerate with the work. I really like people who put time and effort into what they're doing to actually make a difference with the outcome. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about how you came from alt space. You've built in Horizon, you've built in VR chat, and, you know, different platforms that you've been on. But I know that most recently you've been dabbling a little bit with Viverse. So I don't know a lot about this, and I don't know that most of our community does. So can you elaborate on this, and let's talk a little bit about what it is and, you know, what you're doing over there?
Viverse, it's a new platform that was actually created by HTC Vive. You know, they provide one of the best VR headsets, and they actually probably got a nice team, you know, and they had this vision to create a new platform. And what is unique about it is that since they understand that when you create a new platform, the biggest challenge, except all this technological issue, you know, to create an app and everything, but the biggest challenge is actually how you populate a platform. How do you do that? How you attract people to come there? You can see many platforms, new platforms arriving, you know, in the metaverse, and then they just disappear after 2-3 months, 1 year, because they can't survive. They can't bring the people. And what is unique about them is they actually invite artists to create in this platform, and there are some competitions, and they offer rewards, and they actually have a very specific vision about how to populate it, and that's a very unique thing. So Niko can maybe elaborate more about the project that we did with them.
Yeah, that project was actually a bit different. Like, projects we usually do. Usually we design a world, we design an experience that people can use. The world we did in Vivers it is kind of an experience, but the main goal wasn't to make this kind of world. It was to experiment with the technical stuff, like shaders. Like most of the stuff I'm doing here in VR chat is doing custom shaders. And so we wanted to try something like a nice world that really looks nice, has nice design with custom shaders, because the platform is based on a completely different framework. Like it's not Unity. So if it would be Unity, like everyone could just get into the asset store and get all these shaders, or like in VR chat, there's a big ecosystem around VR chat where you can buy all these different assets, and you can use things from the Unity ecosystem. In Vivers, you don't really have that. You have a system called Play Canvas. It's more like a web-based system. You can do quite a lot. It's not as complex as Unity, but you can do custom shaders, and that's what I tried. And we didn't just do these shaders and upload them. We also made it open source for everyone. So everyone who wants to build in Vivers can actually go to the documentation of Vivers, and there's like a sample world that we did, like the complete template with all the textures, with all the shaders, and can actually at least use the shaders for building their own worlds. And so yeah, that's kind of the unique thing about it, that usually we just do a world, and now we actually did it like open source to help people building stuff.
It is
I actually went over there once.
And there's a community and project manager in Vivers. Is wonderful person actually. His name is Michael Moran, and he actually go to different platforms and search for those artists, and he convinced them and he bring them, and he's trying actually to put all this vision, to make it come true. So go and check that. It's easy, to log in, to get a free account, you can go there without even headsets, and check it out. There are many worlds there, and there's some things going on already, and they're actually planning now to bring more events. So if you're interested in the metaverse and you like VR, it's better you explore more platform than stay only in one VR chat or any other platform, but go see what's going on, because the metaverse is now expanding, and you don't want to stay in one country. You want to know your neighbors, and it's nice just to explore other places.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think we all learned our lesson. Like you said, we were refugees from alt space. We had nowhere to go. Now we've learned our lesson. Now we diversify and we go to different countries and different metaverse places. I did visit Vivers once because one of our previous guests, Willow Moonart, that some of you have seen on the show a couple times, she built a game over there. It was so cute. You would love it, Niko, because it was little aliens that you had to save and get them onto the spaceship to take them off, and it was so cute. But like I went over there, and it very much reminded me of the Horizon feel, with the way that the avatars looked and the things that she was doing over there, but almost more
maybe
complex.
Also Mozalia.
More complex, but it was they had that bright, colorful, everything just seems, very utopian happiness over there. But I think, that was the only world that I went to. So I would love to go back and check out some other things. So maybe I'll take another little vacation over to Vivers and check it out. So, you talked about a lot of the different tools that you've used. You use Unity and Blender, you use custom shaders, you use different scripting, but it's different on every single platform. If you could give advice to people who are wanting to learn some of this stuff, I mean, Kip VR did some classes, Second Life Rich does some classes, but is there a place that you guys go to when you're like, okay, I need to do this? Is it YouTube Academy, or is it, do you guys actually have a place that you go to learn more?
Ooh, that's a bit hard to say. I mean, it really depends. I mean, Unity, of course, like you always start with some YouTube tutorials, maybe some courses. Also in Blender. Once you reach a certain level, you don't really just go to a course or something. It's more like you try out a lot, especially in shader editing. I really have to experiment a lot. And you're just developing from a certain point. In Blender, it's usually you reach a certain point and you can already do a lot, but then you are running into like small issues and you have to research like these issues, like how to solve it. And you can ask like the people who can do it, they can help you, or you search on it on Google or YouTube and find solutions for these problems. They're same in Unity. The best is always, already someone who can help you with these specific issues, but you have to be specific. You have to reach a certain level and so you can do it. If you have too many like points that you just have no idea about, like then you need like big courses. And I usually started with YouTube and then got into like different stuff. I also had a Blender course on Udemy and like I subscribed to someone on Patreon for shader development. That was the beginning. Now it's more like specific topics that I have to research.
I don't think that if you want to create a world or a space or some emotional experience in VR, I don't think you need too many tools. One of my greatest teachers once said, you can create a very powerful space with a powerful dramatic tension using only a cube, a circle, and some movements. Just like as strong as the Greek tragedy. So if you start working with the basic tools and you achieve something interesting with just basic tools, then you can develop further. You don't have to bring the most beautiful sofa. You can create from cubes the most original sofa never seen before, just out of cubes. And when you place it with the right lighting and with the right music, even in a complete darkness, like one of my first worlds, for example, when I didn't know and do anything, was a completely black world with a few light beams. And in each light beam, you just have a few butterflies flying, and that's it. It was empty.
Interesting.
And one music was playing, and it was The Sound of Silence by this the remix
great song by Disturbed. David Draymond. Yes, David Draymond.
I actually contact their producer to get a permission to play it there, and they
that
said,
one
"Yeah,
gives
sure,
you chills."
Sounds good. It's good. It sounds good. You may use it, but don't forget to ask the permission of Simon and Garfunkel also. That was too much, But this was one of the most of my favorite worlds. That many people went there in Allspace VR because it had some feel. It was called the Afterlife. It was a very, very minimalistic thing. So don't rush too much. Don't just put all the assets and everything and crazy models. Start defining what you want to do. I feel that even though VR sounds like a very advanced technology, we are living in a very primitive period of VR. Like just the fact that the headset on my head is half a kilo is crazy. I want to put a small chip and just connect into VR into my brain or my neck or something. It's just too primitive for me. So we have to learn a lot about this technology. As I said, I didn't have any experience. Actually, Altspace, the shutdown of Altspace forced me to sit on the chair and start learning Unity and Blender and everything. And I didn't know how to open Blender. I was so upset. I don't know how to open this up. I cannot make a cube. But I put like 8-10 hours a day, and now I can create like complex modeling. So it's you have to love what you do, and you have to understand what do you want to do. What is special in your new world than all other worlds. the first thing I would say, go into this space, start creating. And if you see that you create a room with walls and some doors and something, first thing, ask yourself, why the hell am I copying the same thing that I know from the reality? Why? Why do I have to do that? VR has a lot more to offer. And then start searching for a completely new dimension. It will teach you how to think VR.
Mm-hmm.
That's the recommendation.
Expanding your mind and expanding your horizons in here.
But you can see
sure.
it. You can see it in Niko's Magic AI Gallery. What I love about this project is that he never had an idea. Oh, I want to have a successful gallery and all that. He just made his own workshop. He started as a workshop, right, Niko? He started as a workshop.
Yeah, that was an alt space. I just started and I didn't have any idea what I want to do. I mean, I just started like this. I had an idea like this shader with like 3 different layers that are parallaxing. That's it. Like that was my idea. And then I got like idea after idea after idea after idea. And I had this big gallery in alt space. And then I redesigned it here in VR chat. And it's even crazier now because I already know a lot, but I experimented even more. And now I have all these crazy shaders in the AI gallery. It's not about AI. I mean, like that whole world is more about developing shaders. AI is just the tool to make it faster, to accelerate it, because I can prototype like these different concepts really quickly. But the main work is still handwork, like with shader editing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We see so many people come and say, "Oh, I'm at a world in 1 week. Come and see." And I say, "Well, why? Why? Just enjoy the process. Don't think about, I have to make a world in 1 week. Just enjoy the process. Put the cube, put the chair, put the light, think again, maybe rotate it, maybe." You have to love the process, the creative process, and it will bring you much, much further than, doing something in 1 week. That's why I admire this Magic Gallery, even especially actually in Allspace, because I was following this and I see that Niko just opened a workshop, but he just make it public so people come and see how he build it. And like hundreds of people came to there and it became famous Magic AI. And he just wanted to have his own workshop, and that's the beautiful thing about it.
Well, it's obviously
we
great
all
that
want
the
to impress
met
with
each
a
other.
beautiful, we all want to impress with a beautiful creation, with a beautiful world, but it doesn't mean that you have to start this way. Make something special.
Well, you've definitely done that. Both of you have made a lot of really beautiful worlds. And so what's on the docket moving forward? Do you have anything in production right now that we should be waiting for here in VR chat or in some of the other ones?
We decided that, okay, when you do art, you have to understand, when you do art, if you start thinking about any commercial benefit out of it, it's not art anymore. That's the rule number 1 for art. Art has to come from your spirit, from the will to express something. If you start from the beginning, think, oh, it's going to sell better, forget about art. The other thing is art is useful. You can't use it for anything. It's just for the joy of your soul. So we understood that with this, we cannot accomplish too much. And we had to find the balance, how to use our experience with some artistic experience and technical experience, and to create something that maybe, will be something that people want to experience and to join. A bigger range of people, right? If we would take nymphs, for example, it would be for a specific niche of, it's not for everyone. And then we came up with the idea of creating our own app and placing it in the App Store. Nice. And trying to get this running. And we actually have a website. We have a website that actually presents the concept. It's teleportalium.com.
Okay.
And the basic idea is that it's an afterlife simulator. It's some kind of a clinical death simulator.
Wow. Okay. Now, is this similar to the one where we used to walk from world to world to world that you had in here?
Yes.
I do remember that.
It was an alt space. It was an alt space. We had a prototype.
Yeah, you could go one to yes. I remember that.
So that's basically the basis, the basic concept, but we completely redesign it from scratch.
Nice.
So
that's wonderful. Okay.
The concept will be similar, but it's more complex and much longer than just the world in Nightspace. Yeah.
You know how Teleportalium start, like Afterlife in the name Teleportalium at the first time? When I was in Allspace and I saw that in the world editor, when you can like spawn in some assets to place in your world, there was something that called Teleporter. It was like a tube, a glowing blue tube.
Yes.
So
you could stand and it would send you. Yes, I remember that.
And when you stand inside, it teleports you to another space.
It took you. Yes.
And the first thing I did is I rotated it 90 degrees, so it's not vertical, it's horizontal. And I changed the scale to 1000. So it was a massive, huge tube that you could walk endlessly until you reach to a point and then it teleports you. And I saw this huge tube and I said, yeah, this is Teleportalium. Yeah, that's a huge tube.
That's cool.
That was the idea.
Very nice. I love that. That's creative. I mean, I do remember the teleports. I remember that was one of the benefits.
Every world I saw in Allspace had the same portal. People spawn it. It's in vertical position, 1 meter high on the floor, and they don't think more than that. They just place it where they want. But you cannot think outside the box. Why not to scale it 1000 and rotate it or do something crazy about it? You know?
Absolutely.
And that was a unique, and that was definitely the unique thing about Altspace. Some people got really creative with using it, like these different assets. People uploaded kits, especially when I had my shaders. How people actually used it was really interesting to see, because when people are getting, using these really basic tools, like really basic shaders, and using it for their worlds, it's really cool. And that was the biggest potential of Altspace. Microsoft never saw that. And in VR chat, you don't really have that dynamic, here, because like everything is done in Unity. You can still get assets, and some people are creative with it, but you will never get someone like ShuShu and VR chat actually starting building in Unity. That will not happen. I mean, ShuShu started building in Unity because we were already like doing it for some years. But I don't think you would have done it, right? Like if you would have gone to VR chat and met me, I don't think you would have started Unity. I'm 100% sure about that. And right now, there are not really many platforms that can do it like Altspace. I mean, the only platform where I saw the potential was Horizon Worlds. And, but Horizon Worlds is kind of like going a different, way now, because they are deprecating the in-game editor. They are kind of going into, we want everyone like this, a desktop editor now. So they're actually moving away from that in-game building to the desktop editor. So more professional developers can start building worlds for Horizon Worlds, and they're throwing a lot of money into it, like millions. So developers are getting motivated to actually build in Horizon Worlds. That could work with creating content, but that will not get you creative people and people who are new to VR and getting into VR and giving new perspectives. Like there's someone like ShuShu coming from theater, not a technical background. You remember Yakusto from Altspace? He was a truck, he still is a truck driver. He has no technical background at all. And he started building worlds in Altspace with all these different kits, and then built in Horizon Worlds. And, like these people have different perspectives and can do a certain experience that people like. It's a really creative community that can grow out of it. But if you just throw it away by just focusing developers who want money from the platform, you will not get that. It will not grow that kind of community. And that's a bit sad, because right now I don't really see any platform right now that can actually do that. I mean, I wouldn't know any. Yeah,
I agree.
To summarize this topic, like about future plans, I would say in one sentence that we have like many ideas, like for new projects or developing projects that exist. Even when we take teleportalium, we have already idea what is the next teleportalium. So if the first teleportalium is teleportalium afterlife, the next one is going to be teleportalium hell. You want to see what's hell looks like? It's going to take you with hell, with all
Yes.
Niko's lava shaders and all that. You're going to burn like never before. But the problem is that there's only 24 hours a day.
That's always the problem. That's always the problem.
We need 1,000. Yeah.
I constantly say I could use 4 more hours of the day and 3 more days in the week. It would just be filled immediately. So I hear you. I get that. And so for any of you who have not checked out their worlds, anybody here who was not from Altspace and didn't get to see them back then, definitely look for them and go visit. The Elysium that I put up here earlier, that one is like, I don't know, if you go there and you aren't at peace in that world, you need to do some soul searching, because that one just takes you down a level that you are just like, I am so at one with myself right now. It's great. But here's some contact information. As always, we're going to put this video up on YouTube and in our Discord. So you'll be able to go and check out the YouTube that they have, that you can, see some of the videos that we showed tonight, as well as other ones. But definitely go and check it out. And if you haven't checked out Viverse, go over there, play, like as Niko said, don't just stay in this one little country. Go around, check out other platforms. You don't have to make them your home. You can have a home space and you can visit other places just like you do in the physical world. You live at home, you go on vacation. But make your vacations more frequent in here, because you know what? It's free to jump over and check it out. So go do it. Yeah, but I want to thank both of you for coming on here tonight, because I know that it is 3 a.m. for these people. Though they are extremely wonderful for coming on
4.
here at 4 in the morning. Okay. So it's definitely, I appreciate you taking the time to join us from across the pond. And, it's been wonderful hearing the heart and soul that goes into the work that you create. So I want to thank you both very much for coming on here. And, next week we are going to have Major on as a guest. If those of you who know him, he's a podcaster, he's a host, he's in broadcasting, and he does a lot of different things in the metaverse, both back in Altspace and now again. So he's going to come on and talk to us a little bit about the work that he's doing. And then the following week will be our season finale. So thank you to all of you for being part of season 6. Super excited that we made the milestone. For those of you here a couple of weeks back, it was episode 100. It's just been great. You guys are episode 102. It's great. So thank you so much to everyone, our sponsors. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to my team. Thank you to Fuchsia for jumping in for Blue to do pictures. And thank you to DJ Marcus downstairs in the cameras. We keep them downstairs. And Loudfire for doing crowd control, and all of you for being part of this. Thank you, and we'll see you next week, Monday night, 9 p.m. EST.
CityGirl, thank you, everyone. We will join you in the audience, so you can, if you are interested, click on our avatars. You can join our groups or see the worlds. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Great job, guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Right. You done. Cut.
All right. We are cut. Come on up.